Thank you, Andrea. Good evening, everybody. I know that Andrea already said that this meeting is calling the meeting to order. So what I want to do is talk a bit about the agenda for the evening. I want to have introductions of the members. So first I'll go. My name is Wesley Ireland, and I am using American Sign Language, and you hear the voice of a female interpreter. And on the board, I'm the chair of the board, and I live in the North End. Thank you, and I'm going to go ahead and call Alice to go ahead and introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Paul Karen. I'm the secretary of the board. I live in Boston, and I work at the BPDA.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. I would like to, I actually called Alice, but so Alice, could you introduce yourself? If you could go next, please.
Okay, I'm Alice Fisher. I live in the South End, and I'm a member of the board.
Great, thank you, Alice. Next, I would like to call Jerry, please.
Yes, hi, my name is Jerry Boyd. I live in West Roxbury, and I'm an advisory board member.
Thank you, Jerry. Next, could I get Elizabeth? I think Elizabeth is on the phone. Elizabeth, are you press microphone? Yeah? Can't hear you.
Can hear you now.
I'm a board member and I live in South Bay.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I would like to now call for Olivia, please.
Yes, this is Carl Richardson. I live in Brighton Center, and I identify as a deaf-blind person, and I'm a member of the advisory commission.
Thank you, Carl. Now I would like to next ask Olivia to please introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Olivia Richards. I'm a member of the board and I live in Brighton.
Thank you, Olivia. Now I'd like to call the Vice Chair, Lucia, please.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Dusia Lebowskaya, and I'm in Mission Hill, and I'm the Vice Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Dusia. I do see that Zari is with us. Zari has joined the call. Zari, would you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Zari Amir Hosseini. I am a resident of South Boston, member of this board, and work at Mass General Hospital.
Thank you, Zari. I would like to just check if we have our other members. Just give me one moment, please. I would like to ask the Commissioner McCosh to please introduce himself.
Hey everybody, this is Krista McCosh. I'm the Disability Commissioner of the City of Boston, and I'm here with several of my staff, and we welcome you to tonight's meeting.
And which area do you live in, Commissioner?
I live in South Boston.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Okay, I think I've covered everyone. So
This is Andrea. Sorry to interrupt, Wes. Our newest member has hopped on.
yes, I do see there are two new members that we're actually waiting. We'll probably have them until we do the approval of the last month's meeting minutes, and then we'll go ahead and have them introduce themselves, okay? So let's first begin with, first I would like to say, hooray, we finally have a quorum. So I would like to then say, we've got minutes from the past 2-month meetings. Sorry, while I try to find them here. So we've got the July minutes and the August meeting minutes. And I would like to go ahead and start with the July meeting minutes. Are there any comments or concerns, corrections about the final meeting minutes for the month of July? Okay, seeing none, I would like then to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the July meeting. Who'd like to second that?
I second it.
Okay, Zari has seconded it. That's great. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Seems that everybody is approving, so that's all good. So let's move on to the August meeting minutes. Any concerns, corrections, comments on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, then I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes from our August meeting. Who would like to second that?
I'll second it. This is Ducia.
Okay, Ducia. Ducia seconds that. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye, however you would like to signal.
Aye.
Okay, seeing that this appears that this has all been passed. So thank you very much. That makes things go quickly. So I'm actually really excited to announce that we have 2 new board members with us. And I can see one of them here is with us. So I'd like to ask Richard to please introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dick Blovsky. I'm one of the few lawyers in Boston, and but actually I specialize in employment law. Maybe that will be of some benefit to the committee. I live in Back Bay. I have a significant hearing loss. I lost half my hearing when I was 18 months old, and I've lost much of the rest of it since then. And I'm very happy to be here, and hopefully I can be of some assistance and add something to what I have noticed already is the terrific work of this committee.
Thank you very much, Dick. We're really excited to have you on the committee, on the board with us. Okay, so the next new member that has already, I'm hoping that this person will actually I'd like to have them introduce themselves, is Charles. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself, Charles?
Recording stopped.
Charlie Kim?
Recording in progress.
This is Andrea. I think we lost Charlie. I think maybe he was having difficulty unmuting and may have left. So I will keep an eye out for him to go. Oh, he's coming back.
Yeah, I see he might be coming back. So if so, I'll have him introduce himself. Yes, here he is. Hi, Charlie. I can see that you're here with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Sorry, I was on my phone, then I didn't know you were going to call me, so I jumped off and jumped onto my computer so I could turn on. turn on the camera. Thank you again. My name is Charlie Kim. I'm on the advisory board as the parent representative. My daughter, I have two daughters that attend Boston Public Schools. My youngest daughter, she attends the Horace Mann School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. And so she has significant hearing loss. She was born with significant hearing loss. And then also she has developmental delays. So I'm really excited to be able to contribute and join and hopefully help as much as I can in the work that we're going to be doing. Oh, and I'm a resident of the North End, sorry.
Great, okay. Great, thank you. I guess now I'll see you more often. I'll see you around in North End, Charlie. Okay. So what I'd like to do then is I'd like to thank you all, and thank you all for welcoming the new members. And you've all been appointed by Michelle Wu, and so we'd like to welcome you here to the board. Okay, so moving forward, I'd like to go now to our next item on the agenda is obviously the welcome to the new members to your very first meeting with us. And I remember when I was in your shoes 4 years ago, and I didn't think I would become I'd be the chair of this. And so now I'm like, okay, look at me now. It's been a really good experience the past 4 years. So welcome. So next, what I'd like us to do, we do have a presentation. Our presentation for the month of September is from the Boston Public Schools Special Education. We have with us Marcia Fitzpatrick, and she's going to talk about transitional services. Okay, so Marcia, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcia Fitzpatrick. I am the Assistant Director of Transition for the Boston Public Schools. This is my 29th year in the Boston Public Schools, and I reside in Dorchester. So I'm always honored to be a part of everything that has to do with the Disability Commission in the City of Boston. And I hope that my presentation tonight enables you to understand more of what we're trying to do to support our students with disabilities, to be able to enter the adult world, to be in the best place possible for them, and to be able to gain competitive employment, because that is our goal.
Marcia, would you like me to share screen for you? This is Andrea.
You know what, Andrea, I think I might be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you,
If you prefer, please go ahead.
Give me a minute. It's only been 3 years on Zoom, so you know, I gotta keep practicing my skills. So I'm gonna do a slideshow. There we go. So I choose this picture as the cover of my presentations because this to me is where I want my children to be, at the gateway, my students to be at the gateway of Boston. They're on the roof of the bowling. They're working for the Boston Youth Fund. They're earning a paycheck, and you know, they're happy. And there's the skyline behind them. And this is where I envision our students in the world. So first, I'm gonna start with some demographics. And we do our demographics on October 1st, so I do apologize. This is the last year's, but as of October 1, 2021, about 10,523 students aged 3 to 21 with disabilities, which is 22% of the total enrollment of the Boston Public Schools, are enrolled in special education services. 4,159 of these students are transition-aged students, and that is aged 14 to 22. We service students with autism, communication, emotional, hearing, intellectual, neurological, sensory, and specific learning disabilities. So first I'm going to start with the definition of transition. Some of this is jargony, and I do apologize, but I think it's important that we have definitions when we have these discussions. So in Massachusetts, students receiving special education services between the ages of 14 until they graduate with a high school diploma, exit with a high school diploma, or exit at age 22. These students receive transition services from their public school district. And transition services are a coordinated set of activities that are designed to be part of a results-oriented process, and this process should facilitate that student's ability to move from school to post-school activities or life. So all students with disabilities receive transition planning, which meets their unique needs. This is not a blanket. This is, who am I, what do I want to do, and what do I need to get there? So briefly, I'm going to go over the coordinated set of activities, which is what we do with students during the course of their high school career or starting in middle school, because we do start at 14 years old. So we want to take into account what type of instruction students require, what related services students need in order to access post-secondary life, what community experiences we want them to be able to have so that they can participate in their community in a variety of different ways, how we want to develop their employment and other post-school adult living objectives. And when appropriate, we want to be thinking about working with our students so that they acquire the appropriate daily living skills. And we want to be conducting functional vocational evaluations on our students so that we do know what type of post-secondary work setting will suit them. So it's important to note that most instructional and related service activities are school-based, and that the Office of Special Education provides supports through a variety of vendors and partnerships that are overseen by the STRIVE department. One of our partners is here today, Meg Stone from Impactability. She's amazing, and she brings wonderful things to our students in transition. So now I'm going to describe the STRIVE department and what it does, what its function is in the Boston Public Schools. So STRIVE stands for Supporting Transitions to Reach Independence Through Vocational Experiences. The STRIVE department consists of 7 community connections facilitators, 3 community field coordinators who provide student support at work sites, and 1 educational coach who currently works at the Macy program at MassArt. And the Macy program is the Massachusetts Inclusive Concurrent Educational Initiative, and that allows students with autism and intellectual disabilities to audit college classes while they're still in high school. So it's kind of like early college for students with a little bit more significant need. And then my community connections facilitators, my 7 people, they all are attached to different middle school and high schools throughout the city, and they go into those schools and they provide support to teachers, coordinators of special education, and other teams, so that we make sure that we're like dropping pre-vocational opportunities into the schools, because we want our students working on their skills that they require in order to build up to vocational training. So 14 to 17 students, a lot of students are working on just academics because a lot of students go to college, right? Like we're thinking about reading and math, but we're also thinking about self-regulation, self-advocacy, executive function. What are the skills you need to be employed or be successful in a post-secondary setting. So during the school year, we have partnerships and training sites in the city, and I'm going to briefly go into them. Again, Impactability through Triangle. We have Best Buddies, which offers recreational opportunities for our students. We have Young Entrepreneurs, which is a curriculum all about how do you build the skills you need in order to become employable. We have travel training with the MBTA. We partner with MRC for pre-employment training services. We have Green City Growers, which has been one of the most amazing partnerships. We have gardens in 7 high schools across the city, and we're moving into having our students, we're trying to do a farmer's market, we didn't get that far, but our students are literally taking food farm to table. Brighton High School has done an amazing job with growing their own food, harvesting their own food, and then serving food within their school, so that the students are learning about environmentalism, sustainability, like all skills we need as we grow into adulthood. Triangle also does culinary programming for us throughout the year and in the summer. And You're With Us brings students onto college campuses, and they have peer mentors. And that way, this is more geared towards our 18 to 22-year-olds, so that, you know, they're older than their high school, the other kids in the high school, but they're able to access a college campus and be with same age peers. Because that's very important for our students, to be able to build social connections throughout the city, because, you know, their peer groups tend to be limited to their friends that they know from school. So we really do try to branch them out into recreational and social activities. So during the school year, we have digital imaging, and we just actually moved into a new space with our digital imaging, and the hope is that we'll expand programming. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. We have the Wentworth training program over at Wentworth Institute of Technology. And when students go to the Wentworth Institute of Technology, they start on what we call the blue side, and they are learning, you know, those basic self-regulation, executive function, and how to be employable. And they eventually move up into the green side, where they go throughout the Wentworth campus performing different jobs. I have some slides on that a little later as well. And then they eventually become supervisors. And so they get to like go through the steps of like, what is it to be a good worker, and, you know, to build your employability skills so that you can leave school with a job to be paid. We have Animal Rescue League. Some schools have like certain partnerships. The Burke has Animal Rescue League and the Roach Ice Rink. Goodwill is down on Harrison Avenue, and we have students that go in there, and again, they're learning basic employability skills. We have Project Search at New England Baptist Hospital. Students do full year internships, and they go through rotations. We have Project Reach with Gillette World Shaving headquarters in South Boston, and students work again with a person who works in the Gillette factory, and they go through and they do different activities that are assigned for different departments. And then JVS, which is Jewish Vocational Services, and they do training for they do some culinary, they do some hospitality, and they do retail. So we try to have as many opportunities for students to align with their interests, while again thinking about how are we building employability skills. For post-secondary education, we partner with Roxbury Community College. We had the KEY program for many years. We're hoping to reinstate that, and that is a semester where they do like, what is it like to be a college student? They do an intro-college semester, and then they can take some courses. We have Macy again at Mass Start. We're building our Macy programming to include UMass Boston. UMass Boston has a smaller program, but they're going to start to really heavily recruit Boston Public School students, so that's really exciting. And then we have dual enrollment. Again, our dual enrollment is with Roxbury Community College, Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology, and Cambridge College. And I just finished a series of meetings with all of their disability offices about making sure that our students know where to go to bring their documentation so that they can receive disability services in their dual enrollment, because I think that's very important for our students to be successful, especially our students that really do want to go to college. And so if we have dual enrollment and they can have a couple of semesters completed before they leave high school, they're going to be ahead of the game when they get there. I'm sorry. This is transition skill classes. That shouldn't have been there. I don't know if that's out of sync. I'm very sorry about that. For our extended school year, when our students complete their academic requirements, so the academic requirement in the state of Massachusetts is that we meet our 4 years of academic programming, whatever that looks like, as well as our state standardized test. So in grades 8, 9, 10, 11, our students are going to be working on their academic skills. So they're going to be still working on their reading and their writing, as well as self-regulation and executive function. And when they complete that, if they still require ESY, we have summer programming that's tailored, again, towards vocational programming. And this is housed at Madison Park. And we are very fortunate to have some amazing vocational exploration programs. And during vocational exploration, students get to go through a series of shops. They get to sample different vocational opportunities. So again, we have culinary arts, we have facilities, we have carpentry, we have graphic design, we have business technology, we have automotive detailing, we have art, and we have horticulture. After students have done this for like 2 years and they start to really hone in on their skills, and if they have the skills required to move up into a paid program, we have training sites. And these two are housed at Madison Park. So we have auto detailing, we have bicycle mechanics, we have culinary arts, we have facilities. Our junior custodial students can go around the city for custodial. We have digital imaging, we have carpentry, we have office assistants, which is another, office assistants was somebody's idea, that we have students become the office assistants at the other ESY sites. So the older students got to go into the other ESY sites and support the site coordinator to do like different office activities. And the kids had a lot of fun with that. That was a great idea. And then again, we have students over at Wentworth Training Program. And in the summer, they do a lot of landscaping. And then we can't do it alone, so we have a lot of wonderful partners in Boston Public Schools, contracts with outside vendors, Partners for Youth with Disabilities provides a career readiness curriculum, and they do a train the trainer model. So they come in and they train teachers to embed this curriculum into one of their classes. I try very heavily to promote this in advisory periods, because that way it doesn't take away from core content, which we know is very important for all of our students. So their curriculum focuses on career readiness, financial literacy, entrepreneurship. It's universal design, and again, uses the train the trainer. One of the important initiatives under the My College and Career Planning from the state of Massachusetts is career immersion. So many of my vendors, I've asked them to start identifying internships around the city for our students using their networking. So their career immersion provides coaching for our students. It gives individualized assessments. We want to make sure they're work ready, and then they're, again, using their networks to identify internships for our students. And again, like with all of my partners that are doing this career immersion with me, I'm asking them to find up to year-long internships for our students so that they really have a solid grounding in the area that they're doing the internship in. I don't think 6 weeks is valuable, especially not to somebody who requires, practice and repetition, so that, they can be paid at the end of the internship. Again, JVS transitions to work. These are 6 to 8 weeks programs, and the students work on life skills, customer service, job search, resumes. They do job applications, they do interview preparation. Jeff Gentry from JVS is amazing. He has a great network in the disability community, and he does everything he can to get our students paid employment when they finish JVS. JVS will also travel train our students. So if we have a student who are like, this student's ready to come and work and be trained to go to work, they will literally travel train him to the training site so that they can get the student where they need to be in order to be successful. Bridges has employment representatives, and these are our kids that are really ready to work. So these are our kids that are already using the train, they're out in the community, and they're like, hey, I need a part-time job. So Bridges takes those kids, and they'll teach them a mock interview, they'll go to the job interview with them, and then they'll do a debrief with the students. And then Bridges will also follow our students for 1 year. Work Opportunities Unlimited will give us job coaches. So as you can see, most of our partners, a lot of our partners provide very similar services. It's just provided in different groupings. So Work Opportunities Unlimited is for that student that needs just a little bit extra work, like more individualized career planning. They do job tours, they do job coaching. Again, they go to the interviews with our students, they debrief our students, and then they'll actually go into the job. We have a lot of employers that will let a job coach come in so that the student can be successful in their placement. Triangle has culinary arts and sexual harassment training so that students can be ServSafe certified, as well as understand that the culinary world, you know, they have a lot of issues with sexual harassment, so they try to make sure that students are aware of what they need to do if they encounter these situations. Again, Green City Growers, we have farmer educators who go into the schools and work with our students, and then they harvest their crops, and some are donated and others are used in the classroom. You're With Us Again takes students to Northeastern, allows them to have a peer mentor, audit classes. Best Buddies does social pragmatics for our students, gives them friendship matches, public speaking training, social emotional opportunities. And they did an amazing thing for us during the pandemic. They started what they called lunch bunches and snack packs so that the students could see each other from across the city, because they don't get to often see their friends from across the city outside of like Special Olympics and ESY, so they do some remote for us, for the kids. And then, I don't know, do I have any more time, Andrea? Have I gone over? I don't want to take too much more time. Okay. And then again, just a little deeper into the Stride Wentworth training program. Go Green Recycling, it's teaching our students basic job skills that we all need when we are doing things. We need to know how to collect, sort, you know, how do we package up what we're doing? Like when we're getting ready for our day, how do we organize ourselves? Students go into the facilities training program, which emphasizes custodial skills. They strip the floors, they shampoo the furniture, they move students in and out, and they also learn to use a variety of the equipment around the campus. Laundry service crew, this depends upon the year and like the needs of how many students we have. We can have up to like 40 students some years. So if we have like a little bit of too many students, we'll do a laundry crew. And these students, you know, they'll do the campus laundry for the different dorms. Again, grounds crew, they do the landscaping for parts of Wentworth campus. And then one of my favorite partnerships is with the City of Boston Disability Commission with Commissioner McCosh. She's opened a lot of doors for us in the city to like have partnerships. One of the most important was the Mayor's Office of Financial Empowerment. Kristen generously gave us a curriculum developed by the National Disability Institute, and students received seed money to open a bank account, once they finish the curriculum. And I think we have the curriculum in 9 schools, and I've identified 3 more for this year. So it's kind of exciting because financial literacy is really being talked about now, and we already have it seated in the Boston Public Schools. So that's super exciting for us. Boston Parks and Recreation, we're working with them to get the students out to the greenhouses. And I don't know if people knew this, but the Commissioner of Parks is also the head of animal control, and he is interested in having us have students work with the dogs and the cats that are like over off of American Legion Highway. Like, he's like, I need dog walkers. And I was like, a lot of students are really interested in animal care and dog walking. We have connections with workforce development. We just got a new connection with the Boston Athletic Association to have our students begin to be the people on the route doing water or even showing up to the different athletic events, which are super exciting because they're across the city all the time. And then one of the other really important partnerships we have is the Department of Youth Engagement and Employment. And they are our partner that makes sure that our students who are doing paid vocational opportunities within the schools in the summer are receiving paychecks. And last but not least, we have a huge vision for the future for our students in the Boston Public Schools, and it is a comprehensive postgraduate transition program that will provide equitable access to our 18 to 22-year-olds to really have a place to come to work on their skills that they need, whether it's they want to go to college or they want to go out to work. Whatever they want to do, we're starting to develop programming to meet their unique learning styles. Take our partners in. Meg's just visited us the other day, and bring students in, really see who they are, what they want to do, and treat them like young adults and get them out into the city and get them working and have them really be successful when they exit Boston Public Schools, whether it's at 18 or 22. So now I can take questions.
Hi, this is Wes, the chair. Would you be able to share the PowerPoint so that we could share that with other folks?
Of course, Andrea has it. Yes, my pleasure.
Well, Wes, I have a question when you have a sec.
Could you go ahead and, close out the PowerPoint? I'm sorry, that might have been a
Yeah.
presentation. Yeah, if you could close out the PowerPoint.
Sorry.
Thank
That's
you
the
so
teacher
much.
with the big graphic. Sorry.
Give us a second for the interpreters to switch. One moment, please. Okay, so this is Wes. I wanted to say that your presentation was really great. There was lots of different, I'm sure there's other questions. I've got a few questions myself, but I think I want to allow others to ask questions. There's lots of information. Dick, do you want to go ahead first? I see that you have a hand raised.
Sure, thanks, Wes. Marcia, thank you. That was incredible. I just hope there's no quiz afterwards. But my question has to do with the transition planning and how successful you think it has been, and are there ways to measure its success?
So, so transition planning as the continuum of the coordinated set of activities from 14 to 22. So we measure our success, I guess. It's challenging because when our students exit, they do have so many different avenues that they can go down, right? Like how many students go to college, how many students go to a paid work environment, how many students go to a supported work environment, and how many students go to day habilitation due to their disability. So those are definitely demographics we haven't delved into yet, but I'd be more than happy to find that out, Richard. I think that's a great question, to see how many of our students with disabilities actually do go on to college and paid employment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I want to recognize also Charlie. I think there's a question from Charlie.
Hi, thank you. And just to give a little background to the advisory board, I also, for the past several years, have volunteered on the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. This is actually timely that the presentation is being given, and it's good to see you again, Marcia. Thank you for all your hard work that you put into these. And I think we see your presentation each year, and I kind of just wanted to follow up on a couple of the slides and just ask. From last year, we were excited that you had presented the idea of a center of excellence or a hub model, and we thought that was great. Is there an actual plan that you're working on to set that up? Because I know I think it was slide 2 or 3, you talked about how currently the schools are more autonomous on how they handle the students individually. And so when we think about the city and Boston Public Schools, we're talking about 110 schools, and there could be many students in certain schools. So how can a parent, think about transitional services when they think about should they be thinking about that their students should transition to a different school that may specialize in or have more students, that they could have more peers in transitional services, and then the plan to create that center of excellence or that hub where parents can actually go to and possibly and caretakers and even the students themselves to go find out and collaborate more with their peers.
So, hi, Charlie.
And then just, it was a two-part, is it, with that plan, or will you be using some of the significant federal funding that has come in, and some may know it's the emergency funding that has been allocated, about $500,000 to Boston Public Schools. Have you kind of plan on using some of that grant money to accelerate the idea of the Center of Excellence or hub model?
So last spring, I did a concept meeting with stakeholders. Roxy was with me. She came. Roxy Harvey is the chair of SPEDPAC. And we had Mass Advocates, and we had JVS, and we had people from higher ed, and we had DDS, and we had MRC. And I talked about the hub. I presented the idea of the hub. The hub's not the name of it because Boston's the hub, right? But the idea is a hub for our students. So sometimes Charlie in Boston Public Schools, and literally this is my 29th year, right? And these are moments that you don't always get to live. But Boston Arts Academy moved out of the old Grover Cleveland into their new building. And my Strive department has just moved in, and we brought our digital imaging, and they're going to begin renovating this huge space that Boston Arts Academy used for set design. Meg got the tour the other day. Meg Stone got the tour the other day, and she got to sit in the space where we want to create a common area. Remember, I was saying for those students that are 18 to 22, we want them to not feel like they're in high school. We want them to feel like they're in a common area at college, to come in, and we can have parents, and we have all little spaces that we're hoping that we're going to start to transfer our shops into, so we are doing the training. And then we want students, the 14 to 17-year-olds who are still working on those pre-vocational skills, we're going to want them to come with their classes and start to do some trainings in the shops. So we're really close, Charlie. And the end result, we should have a building comparable to Boston Arts Academy, right? Our students should have a state-of-the-art facility in the city of Boston, which is, I'm heavily promoting. The commissioner's on board with me, and Roxy was like, I'm going to be right there next to you. So we have a foot in the door, Charlie. Funding is another conversation I've been having with people, I need job coaches, I need ed coaches, I need teachers, right? I need to have staffing. So that's a conversation. I've had it with Lauren Viviani, who's the new interim assistant superintendent. But it's coming, Charlie. We're so close, but we've started. We have our foot in the door, so it'll be realized by the time your daughter gets to high school. But even before that, right? It's not just about your daughter. It's all the students that are coming up through Boston, and we're gonna get there.
Thank you very much. I see in the chat that Ducia actually has a comment. So go ahead, Ducia, if you'd like to make your comment.
Thank you, Wesley. So I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation. Marcia, I was watching it. Besides that very visual, I love the information you provide, the slideshows. And I was looking at all these opportunities that you're offering, or that your agency is offering, like culinary arts and I don't know, there was just a lot of handcrafting work that you offering to your students. And what I personally want to say, I personally am very appreciative of the fact that you also are now offering administrative assistance. So if someone, because someone who's on autism spectrum and whatnot can do that. I personally want to say thank you from my I'm sure not to be biased or anything, but I just want to say personally thank you so much, because I have a lot of peers who they're more, I know there's a lot of opportunity, like I know there is opportunity with Goodwill, which is great, and a lot of things where you are doing hands-on, like culinary arts, planting, like gardening and whatnot. But having the administrative part, that's just golden, because there are many of them, these are all great opportunities, but there needs to be more diversity, and you offering the administrative, that's just beautiful. I love administrative work, so, and I just know a lot of people who love doing administrative, they love working on a computer, they love doing photocopies or whatever, just being in the office, that's just like, just amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much for adding that as well. And also, I was impressed that Wentworth Institute is one of the best universities in Massachusetts or in the U.S. I know I live actually 2 blocks away from that place, and everybody kept saying, "Why did you never go there? It's like one of the best places." I just never went. I don't know why, but Wentworth Institute, Cambridge College, I know those colleges. I have friends who graduate from there, so kudos to you. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ducia. I also see, I have an additional comment and question, but I also see Paul has his hand raised, so I'll let Paul go ahead first.
I just want to say thank you. That was a great presentation, and I think you're doing a great job with your programs.
Thank you. It's my privilege. It's my life's work, but it's also my privilege. So I'm very fortunate.
Okay. Okay, Wes is saying, give me one moment. I see something in the chat. I do want to say that I think that the presentation was really beautiful. And again, thank you, Marcia, for all that you shared. It's really amazing to see how many resources we have in the city of Boston for our Boston public school students, particularly those who are going through transitional services. And so I think that there's so many more opportunities for these kids compared to what other towns and cities in Massachusetts are doing. So I don't know how many of the transitional services they have to offer, but I don't know how much about it. I'm sure there's some variation that some places might have different transitional services, but I'm not sure. But that's one thing that I'm just thinking about. The Massachusetts Rehab Commission being involved. I'm thinking that maybe it would be wonderful if the city of Boston could do some sort of collaboration with Mass Rehab. So that's kind of like my first question. My second then is, of those students, that are part of the transitional services programs, is there really, I mean, there's a really great, that's great sort of college potential for them. And I think that it's great for them to have this support, and particularly it's important for them to have these services available to them. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
So I'm a member of a transition coordinator group for different towns and cities around the state. And so like Newton's a good example. Newton has 27 students in their 18 to 22-year-old program. We have 400 18 to 22-year-olds in Boston Public Schools, right? So like I go into meetings and everybody's like, you can't even think about the low number we have. So I've always worked in Boston Public Schools, so big numbers don't scare me. Like I think it's just what it is. But I also, when I meet with different departments in the city, like I'm like, this is our city, right? Like our students have the city of Boston at their feet. So we should be taking advantage of everything that's out there. And that's why like I'm literally, we have a liaison with the city, and I'm like, Parks Department. If a kid has an interest, if a student has an interest, I'll be like, hey, can you connect me to them? And I start conversations with them to see if we can get students out. It doesn't always work, but like another part of this work is you can't be afraid to ask. Like somebody might say no to me, it's not gonna hurt my feelings. I have to move on to the next thing for that student. So other towns and cities have their own transition programming. A lot of them have the Macy. They don't have the MBTA, right? Like we have the MBTA. So I'm trying to take advantage of everything that we have out in the city of Boston. And again, it's, MRC is a wonderful partner. Joe Davis is the area manager. I've been emailing with her just this week. We do a resource fair with them. We're gonna try to really heighten it. Last year, we did a collaboration so we could bring parents in. We're trying to do a lot of parent education at night about what are transition services. What are the questions you're asking at an IEP meeting when it comes to transition? Like, where should my student be, right? Like, every school is required by law to provide services. And we always have to remember, they always look different for everybody. IEPs are individualized, so we're trying to work on the skills that a student needs to reach the vision, whatever it is that they want to do. Yes, we have BSIL as well. BSIL is another wonderful partner for our pre-Eds.
Okay, thank you so much. So that's a very full answer for both of my questions, really. So I appreciate that. I would like to also recognize Darian, who is from Deaf Inc. She's a member of the general public. And I saw her, I'm actually on the board for Deaf Inc. And so Darian Gambrell is the executive director of Deaf Incorporated. And I believe that she has her hand up, and I apologize for having you hold. But I'm gonna have to hold the question, Darian. I don't know if you could Darian ask the question now? 1 second for the interpreter to see Darian. Okay, great, the interpreter's ready. Hi, everybody. Hi, Wes. Hello to everybody. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to just ask my question. And hello, Marcia. My name is Darian Gambrell. And thank you so much for that presentation. It was really it's always great to hear that students have a chance. I believe every child has a chance to learn for something related to work, of course. But my question I have is really two. The program at RCC, KEY program, how does that application work? What does that look like for a student who's getting ready to graduate? So that's my first question. And secondly, I'm wondering, when students are ready to graduate, what's next for them? if they've already applied for Mass Rehab Commission counseling, or maybe if the family steps in. I'm just curious, what are like next steps for a kid who's graduating? Thanks.
So, dual enrollment Macy and the program over at Roxbury Community College, which is on hiatus, are a little challenging because in dual enrollment, you can receive a college credit, but Macy, you may audit, right? So it's everybody, again, individualized. Everybody's coming out, hopefully gaining some experience in an area that they're interested in. And I think the most important part of having our students on the college campuses is that when they leave us, it's not brand new to them, and it's not as frightening for them because they've had an adult who's kind of supported them through the program. I have an amazing example from Mass Art that I'd love to share. We had a young gentleman, and he had completed his academic requirements at a local high school, but he hadn't applied to college. And he wasn't travel trained. And his mother was like, he's not ready to leave high school. So we put him over at Mass Art in our Macy program because art was his area of interest. And within a month, he was completely travel trained. He got a job in the library. He got a job in food services. And he's doing his second year. And he began working over at Wentworth. So we were like, you have to give up one of the jobs. So, like, those are the stories that, like, if we can get our students individually into where they want to be, they're going to be successful, right? Like, I call him the president of Roxbury Community College. I mean, Mass Art now, because he doesn't want to leave. But I'm like, now you can matriculate because he got a diploma, and now he can matriculate into Mass Art, and he's familiar with the campus. So that's huge. And I apologize, what was the second half of the question?
Second part of the question is, what happens when a student graduates and they've already applied for counseling through Massachusetts Rehab Commission, or maybe their parents will take over? What happens to that kid?
So the most important piece for anybody that's using Mass Rehab and DDS, when you exit high school, your entitlement to special education ends. So we call you and say, we have to have an IEP meeting. We have to sign the IEP. We have to make sure you do it. Like Boston, the schools are advocating. When your entitlement ends, they call that the cliff, right? And that's what we're trying to avoid. We want our students connected and transitioning successfully so they don't fall off a cliff. So when you apply to Mass Rehab and you get connected to a VR counselor, it's up to you to make sure you make the connection. If they set a meeting with you, you have to show up. They don't call you, right? DDS, same thing. We can do a full application. We can support a family in a full application. If they call you for the intake meeting and you don't show up, they can close your case. We spend a lot of time with DDS being like, reopen that case, right? Like, we advocate very, very heavily until our students exit. And again, my staff is 7 people, but like with our students, especially our DDS students, like, we do everything we can to make sure that they're fully connected to an adult agency before they leave. And students come back sometimes too. Sometimes students come back and when we call and we say, we got to get you reconnected. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll actually be in touch with you for sure. Marcia, thank you so much for that comment about the student's right to make the decision for themselves, and at the age of 18 and over, right? So I'm just thinking more about that. They need support, but they also have the right to make their own decisions at that age. So, all right, I'm sorry to interrupt that, but go ahead, continue, Darian. No, I'm good. Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions or comments? So Charlie.
Hello again.
Interpreter
I know.
Charlie, one moment, 1 second, please. Do another interpreter switch.
We're all set if you want to go ahead.
Thank you. I know it's my first meeting, so this should be my last question, but it's more of a comment. I think it's a follow-up to Mr. Glovsky's question about kind of the metrics of success, and it adds to Ms. McCosh's comment of how many interns are actually successfully getting hired. I think it'd be important to do that because Ms. Fitzpatrick, you're so excited and passionate about the student that did so well, right? And it's very rare that we're hearing success stories in today coming from not only Boston Public Schools, but other things that I think it's important, and we're seeing programs in the city where you're seeing more metrics come out now, and a lot of data-driven success metrics, but also what worked and what didn't work in some of these pilots. I think it would be helpful if Boston Public Schools was able to do that, especially for transition services, on those, like how many successful, job applicants, and because it would help lift a lot of these things, and also with the hub center that you're thinking of, that people will want to go to those services, right? And it would be a place where people can really think about how, and parents, this is a big anxiety period, entering school and then transitioning and aging out, right? So I think it would be important to have some sort of an impact metric to show where, how it's all working, and that all the contribution dollars and the investment dollars are actually working out for these students, and that it is becoming an exceptional place for them to get transitional services.
I absolutely agree. I'm literally, this is my third year in this, right? And we had that little pandemic in the middle, but that's great advice. And I think that's something we'll focus on this year, right? Like I know where our students that stayed till 22, I could tell you where every single one of them went last year. So I could tell you that. We just haven't broken it down, into a demographic, like a graph. But that's something we should probably have. I should probably have that ready for when I do SpedPack. Right? So we can share that and share that with everybody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I think now is a perfect time for this presentation. Beginning of the school year, so that's well timed to give us things to think about in terms of the future for these kids who are ready or soon will be graduating from high school. I mean, when you're looking at the age of 22, if they're transitioning out. So thank you very much. You're certainly more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you all.
And we have Kim reporting also about the Speak Up Louder, Boston Public School. So is there another question, or? Is there anyone else who want to make a comment at this point? Andrea, did you want to say anything more?
No, sorry, I was just waving at Marcia.
Okay. I thought Andrea had one final comment, but I think then we'll go ahead with the chair's report.
Okay, we're just going to switch interpreters for my chair's report only. One second for the interpreters to switch the view. Okay, I think we're good. Right. Give me one moment for me to get my notes. Okay, great. I've got it. Okay. So now I'm going to give my chair's report. First of all, the ADA Day event was actually a lot of fun. It was hosted, and it was rescheduled last month. And it was a really fun day. Olivia, Jerry, Paul, and I participated in that event this year. We did a special tour of the City Hall Plaza, the construction in that area, and I have to say, so far it's looking really great. And it's really pretty accessible. So we're excited to see the final results. And actually, that includes a playground. So my next item then to report on is the first day of school, as we know, happened for many of the Boston Public School locations. That was on Thursday, September 8th. And on behalf of the Disability Commission, Paul and I were able to go over and volunteer with our neighborhood schools by giving out pencils before the students went in to the building, into the classrooms. And I had an opportunity to meet and to chat with one of the city councilors at large in that area. I met Erin Murphy. That's when I was dispensing the pencils to the students. So now the third item I have is actually, speaking of books and supplies, I encourage the Disability Board as well as the community to take advantage of those little free libraries that you see around Boston. These are donation centers for books. While I was at a neighborhood playground with my kiddo, there was a little free library, and I was able to borrow this book, and I'm actually currently reading it right now, and it's called, the title is Handbook for an Urban Revolution Street Fight. And the author, if you can see, I'm holding the book up. It's written by Jeanette Sadiq Khan and Seth Solomonoff. Now, Jeanette was a transportation commissioner for New York City under the mayor's office. That's when Michael Bloomberg was the mayor. So the book is going to help me build a better understanding of urban revolutions for our Boston streets, on top of making sure that they're accessible to all. So yes, of course, I'll return the book back to the little free library when I'm done with it. So that's the book. Okay. Next, the fourth item on my report is on November 4th. We know that's an important day. It's Election Day. So please make sure you're up to date with your voting plan. Whether you're gonna mail in your ballot and because you need to have your vote count. Get to know your local candidates who are running for office. Like if they're coming to an event near you. The fifth item that I wanted to report on. So I have to say, today is the last official day of summer. And we know the first day of autumn is tomorrow, Thursday, September 22nd, starting at 9:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I have to say, I'm really sad because the last few weeks has been great to me. And this is probably one of the best summers I've had in recent memory. You know, given the fact that we're kind of post-pandemic, we know that this difficult COVID stuff isn't really done yet, and everyone is getting ready for this fall surge. So please keep up to date with your COVID vaccines and get the flu shot at the same time if you're due for a COVID vaccine. See? Double arms. I just got mine, both of them yesterday. And I'm sort of feeling the impact, but and I'm also now feeling with the Red Sox probably not advancing to the playoffs, I'm getting ready to switch gears, and I'm looking forward to the Patriots, the Bruins, and the Celtics. They're starting their seasons. I have to say I'm sorry for mentioning local sports, but I have to say this is related to disability stress, because watching sports helps me relax. So thank you all. So that is my chair's report for this month. If there are any questions or comments, please do so, and I'm willing to respond. Okay, I guess then my report was clear enough. So now what I'd like to do is we have our board member spotlight. It's time for board member spotlight. And our board member today is supposed to be, well, we spotlight one member every month, but I don't think that this member is on the call tonight, even though he RSVP'd that they would be here. So maybe I will ask that person if they could do the member spotlight next month. Maybe I could ask one of the new members if they're interested in spotlighting next month. So we'll skip that for tonight, that agenda item for this evening. And now what I'll do is hand over to the commissioner. So Commissioner McCosh can go ahead, take the floor, and provide your report.
Thanks, Wes, and good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all at the meeting, and Andrea's going to share my slides. I'm also going to drop them in.
Commissioner, I think you're muted.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Let's see, let me just get my computer set up. Okay, so we can go to the first slide. And I have to say, Wes, you already covered a lot of this information, so thank you. But I will just go over a few initiatives that we're working on. So ADA Day was a few weeks ago. We had great weather and a great turnout. We're estimating it was probably over 200 people. So that was great, like you said, Wes. It's nice that COVID is in a place right now where we can gather in groups. It was great because it was outside, so we felt safe to do so. Wes mentioned the tour of the City Hall Plaza to see the renovations. So that had been in the works for a couple of years, so I'm glad that it finally happened. And the grand opening date will be announced soon. The consultant who did the work is Sasaki. They had a display on at ADA Day of some of the before and after look at the plaza. So we're going to ask them to come present at a future advisory board meeting. And then finally, we have ADA Day t-shirts, always a coveted memento of the day. So anyone who didn't get one, who wasn't able to come, please email us and we'll mail one out to you. Second thing I want to mention is our bicycle awareness campaign. We've been talking about this for a while now, but we are finishing the toolkit and getting ready to launch, hopefully in the next month. So stay tuned. And then just following up on the interest that the board's expressed in mental health and behavioral health, the Boston Public Health Commission has a new behavioral health officer who just started, and we plan to invite them to a future meeting as we continue to prioritize mental health and behavioral health. We know it's a big priority in the community, especially following COVID. So stay tuned for that. And then some upcoming events in the community. The city's Equity and Inclusion Cabinet is hosting job and resource fairs. They've already held two, one was canceled, but the last one is on Saturday, October 8th at the Holland BCYF Center in Dorchester from 12 to 3. And I have to say, the city has a lot of jobs open. So if you're interested or know people who are looking for work, please recommend this event. Our office is holding Civic Engagement Day again. For any of you who've been on the board for a few years, you may remember this event. We used to hold it every year, and now it's back after COVID. And it's a day where we invite the public in, the disability community specifically, to just come into City Hall, because we know it can be very intimidating if you've never been in City Hall. The building looks very uninviting from the outside for anybody, but if you have a disability, it's really difficult to navigate accessible entrances and bathrooms and figure out how to get to the council chamber. So it's a great day where we can introduce people to their ONS liaisons. Mayor Wu will be attending, so they can hear directly from the mayor. So we hope that you will help us spread the word. And we'll be sending out the flyer very soon. And then finally, the city is holding some budget, education, and engagement workshops. And they specifically want to do sessions for underrepresented groups. And disability is a key piece of this group. So they want to provide you information on ways that you can participate in the budget. It's not so much a listening session to directly participate, but they'll talk to you about ways you can participate and how you can give input. We're looking for accessible locations to hold these workshops. There will be 6 in total, with 1 designated for disability. So if you have any thoughts on a great space in Boston that's accessible and easy to get to, let us know. And it will be in November. We'll get back to you soon with the date. Next slide. So Wes also mentioned elections, but here are some dates just to keep in mind. The early voting starts on October 22nd. During this period, you don't have to go to your polling place in your neighborhood. You can go to any one of the polling places that are listed as having early voting. The registration deadline to vote is October 29th for the general election, which will be held on Tuesday, November 8th. And we also have accessible online electronic voting. So you first must submit a vote by mail application to the Elections Commission. You can do it by mail, but it must be received by them by 5 p.m. on November 1st. After your request is approved, the Elections Department will email you instructions for accessing the system online. So we encourage this for people who have difficulty with the paper ballot. If you're unable to fill it out on your own because of disabilities that include blindness or dexterity, then this is an option that's available to you. And next slide. So the MBTA has had a lot going on recently, and we all know about the Orange Line closure and reopening. But first we want to talk about the fare transformation updates. Actually, can we do that first, Andrea?
Yep. So there's someone actually from the Fare Transformation team who can answer any questions about this. But basically, the description of the project, the exciting part of the project is that people with disabilities can now apply for or renew their TAP or their Blind Access Charlie cards online and have cards mailed to them, which means riders will no longer be required to go to the downtown Charlie card store and submit a paper application to get these cards. Of course, paper applications and in-person assistance will still be available for those who want them or require them. They can schedule a time to visit these stores, but they are not required anymore. You can now do it from the comfort of your own home. So, Katie, I see you've turned on your camera. Would you like to say anything else about your awesome project?
Yeah, hi folks. Katie Coligan at the MBTA. I specifically work on increasing access to the T's free and reduced fare programs. Those do include the Transportation Access Pass for riders with disabilities and the Blind Access Charlie card for riders who are legally blind. And as of this Monday, we launched online applications for both TAP and Blind Access. Both of these applications, in fact, all of our online applications are fully accessible. They've been tested by riders, by a third-party accessibility vendor, and are accessible to screen readers. if I may, maybe give an overview of our TAP application. Great, cool. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see, all right, here we go. I'm just gonna give you all, can you all see the TAP Charlie card? Yep, great. So this is the start of the Transportation Access Pass TAP Charlie card online application. Again, fully accessible to screen readers. Riders, just from the top, will have the option to select their language, English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese. What's really cool about this application is that you can not only apply for a new TAP Charlie card, but you can also renew or replace your current TAP Charlie card. And previously, before the online application, as Andrea was saying, is that riders had to go to Downtown Crossing to complete an application or submit a paper application and mail it to the Charlie Card store. Now you could submit an online application. We try to make it clear from the start what we're expecting to complete the application. So riders should expect to provide a government-issued photo ID, so that's most commonly a driver's license. And the second is a recent color photo of themselves. Another cool feature of this online application is that someone could use their mobile device to complete the online application, and from their mobile device, take that photo and then upload it directly to the online application. So hopefully that makes for a more seamless experience. And then the third step here is providing documentation of a disability. The TAP eligibility criteria are kind of lengthy, but we try to break it down into 3 different options to prove your eligibility here. The first is one of the automatic qualifying disability categories. So a good example is just uploading a Medicare card or your R&B disability placard, and then all those other options as well. Folks who are a part of the RIDE are automatically eligible, so they can just enter in their RIDE ID number. And the third option are for folks who, option 1 or 2 are not an option for them, so they can seek option 3, which is to upload the healthcare professional certification form, and that's already part of the TAP application, but we've digitized it and allowed it to be an uploadable form, so someone can have their healthcare professional complete the form, sign it, and then upload it to a part of their application. So one thing here is that if you click on this link, it'll just pop up, open to a new tab, so riders can print that beforehand and have their healthcare professionals complete it. So once people see these options, they can decide how they're eligible. They can select how they're going to proceed. So I'm going to say I'm going to upload my Medicare card, so option 1. And then the form will, of course, auto sort of fill itself out based on what was selected at the top. And then we're just asking for basic personal information, name, date of birth, contact information, which is completely optional. I will say, though, we are encouraging folks to enter in their email address information because our application system will send email notifications. So once you submit an application, you'll get an email saying, thanks for submitting. Whatever your eligibility determination is, you'll get an email from us saying whether or not you were approved, if there are any next steps. Your card was mailed, for example, you'll get all those notifications. And then emergency contact information is totally optional. And then we get to the upload section. So we try to make it clear with this image of a driver's license or a state ID what we're expecting you all to upload. And we say that if you do need assistance, as Andrea was saying, you could still visit the Mobility Center or the Charlie Card store for in-person customer support. Go ahead, upload those files. I think my favorite part of the application is how clear we are with the photo requirements. We try to make it clear at least what we're expecting. So we do provide a bunch of different examples. So a good example is just an image of clearly just your face, a light solid colored background, neck up, and ideally maybe someone else is taking this photo for you, but of course we'll accept a good selfie. And then the last part is just uploading proof of disability. So let's say I have a Medicare card, I'll select Medicare card. An example Medicare card will pop out at me, and then I can go ahead and upload that. And then toward the end here, I get to select, do I want my card mailed to my address or do I want to pick it up? In this case, I'd like it mailed. It'll ask me to enter in my mailing address. But if I say the Charlie Card store, it'll give me the hours. So the address, and then you can see the hours beforehand. This is a good way for people a good way to set expectations. If I don't want to go to the Charlie Card store, for example, I'd probably opt to mail to my address. And then getting toward the bottom here, we ask for demographic information, totally optional. You can skip this question and still complete the form. And then the last couple of sections here are just agreeing to the terms and conditions, and then just a common disability release authorization, and then submit. I'm sure that there are some questions.
This is Andrea. Thanks. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Wes.
Hi, this is Wes. Sorry. I didn't mean to put my clapping hands and all those icons up, sorry. That was meant to be a hands up icon. So my question, I have a question for you, is that I'm actually really excited about this new approach to how, but I actually I think it's an interesting way of, you're talking about, this is the replacement way, if you need to replace a card, is this the replacement system for getting your tap card? Is this for ongoing or is this temporary?
Great question. So this is for a permanent reduced fare tap Charlie card, but you do have the option to apply for a new, if you're a first time tap rider, you can apply for a new card entirely, or if you're an existing tap rider, you can renew or replace your current card online as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, I had issues with the renewing process in the past in person. It was really difficult. Long story behind that, but it's just not, yeah, it's not easy. Thank you. My next question is proof of disability. Could you scroll to that section and let me see that again. All right, so there's one issue here with this. And I know that many disabled people here in Massachusetts receive Mass Health benefits. And that's actually under Medicaid. It's not Medicare. So I'm not seeing anything about Mass Health or Medicaid as an acceptable evidence of proof of disability. So what do you have to say? Is there anything that can that be added as a form of proof of disability?
So Medicare, from my understanding, is a benefit for seniors and people with disabilities, whereas Mass Health, or at least the majority of Mass Health programs, are for people who are income eligible. We actually use Mass Health as a criteria for our Youth Pass program, which is a reduced fare program for young people with low income. I can understand the case for adding it here. Certainly take that back to the group.
This is Andrea. Just want to step in to say that we're really glad Katie could join. Katie's team has been building the application. We can definitely invite other folks from the T who manage things like the eligibility and those sorts of program content. Not in any way to limit what you do, Katie. It's very important. But just wanted to let everyone know that we had invited you here to talk about the application, which is very exciting. But I'm happy to follow up from the commission perspective on any of the content. Yeah.
This is Carl. I have a quick question. Can I go ahead, Wes?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a couple of, my eyes are occupied by several things. I'm looking at the PowerPoint, I'm looking at the information, looking at the interpreter. Yes, Carl, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I, as a blind Charlie card user, am thrilled that this I could possibly fill out online because I could never find the place underneath. As a blind and visually impaired person, it was hard for me to find it downtown Crossing. My question is, though, is the application process been tested for those who use screen readers?
Is the application, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Can I do the application using a screen reader? Has it been tested for that?
Yes, all of our applications have, by users and by a third-party accessibility vendor.
Okay, thank you.
So this is specific to the TAP application, but we do have a blind access online application.
This is Andrea. Carl, if you use it and you have a problem, you tell me and I'll make sure Katie knows.
May I please ask a question?
Yes.
Hi, Susan. This is Andrea with the commission. I see your hand.
I've got one more question, actually. This is Wes. I think what I'll do is, I was just looking back at the Mass Health part of the information, and I think that my other recommendation is that you might add other forms of proof of disability. There might be some other options that are not currently on the list. So they might be open to some other suggestions. So go ahead then, ask your question.
Thank you. Has the MBTA Charlie card creator the actual physical box that creates the Charlie cards, is that still in Germany, or has that been returned to Massachusetts, or is it in Boston?
I don't know the actual status of those, but they're expected to be in Boston by the end of September. I had a call with folks a couple weeks ago about that. A really positive update is that we've removed personalized information from senior Charlie cards, so they don't have to go through the extra steps that other cards do, so those should be easier to fulfill. We launched these online applications expecting that those cards or those machines would arrive soon, so you should expect to receive cards faster than they have in the last few months.
This is Andrea. Thanks again, Katie. Really appreciate that update. I know that's going to make a huge difference to a lot of folks that have reached out to our office. If anyone has any follow-up questions, again, we can definitely reach out to the T for a future presentation. We just knew that this application went live today, or not today, this week, and wanted to make sure that you were able to see it and know about it. Yeah, we'll follow up on some of the other stuff at a later date. Thanks, Katie.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I'll drop the links to the applications in the chat box. Thanks, everyone.
Switching interpreters, give us one moment.
Okay, so I wanted to do the fair transformation piece before I finish my report because the last two items are related. So as you all know, the Orange Line was shut down for 30 days to complete major repairs and upgrades. So there were some accessibility issues reported to us during the closure, and we're working to debrief with the MBTA Office of System-Wide Access to see how we can improve those things, short-term access, if and when something like this closure happens again. But I do want to highlight that there are several new accessibility improvements, And I'll just go over them really briefly, but we can email my report to you afterwards so you have a copy of it. But there are over 60 new Orange Line cars on the tracks now. They have visual and audio messaging, priority seating, dedicated wheelchair mobility device seating areas, accessible signage, and ample handholds. Forest Hill Station was made fully accessible from Washington Street and Banks Place. They finished repairing the elevator in Forest Hill Station. Oak Grove Station accessibility improvements include upgrades to the roof, doors, windows, stairs, and elevators. Detectable warnings were replaced at Green Street, Roxbury Crossing, Ruggles, Sullivan, and Community College. And concrete and broken brick was repaired and replaced at Green Street, Mass Ave, Back Bay, and Downtown Crossing. So now we can switch to the next slide, the last slide, which is talking about the City of Boston. So our transportation team, Streets Cabinet, saw the Orange Line shutdown as a chance to pilot some changes in the city's roadways. And some of these pilot programs will be remaining permanent. So just a really quick overview I'll give you, and then we can follow up with more information. But in Chinatown, the MBTA added a new bus stop, which will create a link for Chinatown residents to the SL5, Silver Line. Huntington Avenue bus and bike priority lane, it was added temporarily, but that will be left in place.
Does that mean that bikes are on the bus lane all the time too?
Some of the bus lanes are shared bike and bus lanes. Okay. Yes, that's correct. Some of them aren't. They have to be marked that way. But this one will be. South End loading zones, pick up and drop off, changes will remain in place to reduce double parking in the unprotected bike lane. Jamaica Plain pavement markings and signage. Safety upgrades include don't block the box and parking restrictions at corners to improve visibility. They call that daylighting, so that when you come to a corner, you can see around it, and you'll know if there are people coming or oncoming vehicles. Boylston Street, one way for vehicles, closing part of Boylston Street to improve traffic safety. Copley Square bus lanes, some new bus lanes have been added around the square to support the 39, the 9, and 10 bus routes, which together serve more than 10,000 riders per weekday. And then finally, Blue Bikes. The city added some new docking stations during the Orange Line shutdown, and they're going to remain in place because so many people use the Blue Bikes during the shutdown that we want to support locations throughout the city. And the city's also looking at options to provide free or low-cost bike sharing services moving forward. So that's just a real quick overview. Like I said, we can give you the link for more details, and we're interested to hear your feedback as you experience these new conditions in the city's public rights of way. And I believe that was my last slide, so I can open it up for questions.
All right. This is Wes. I have a question about the Blue Bikes. Why did the membership go up? The cost of membership go up?
I don't know about that. I don't know if Andrea might know.
I don't offhand, this is Andrea, I don't offhand, I can look it up. I know that they offered a free 30-day pass from August 19th to September 18th to anyone who wanted it, but it's been a while since I've looked into what the yearly membership costs. Yeah, I can look into it.
Outside time.
What time's up? That's in the contract.
Are there any other questions? Okay, then I guess we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Okay, I don't know if there are any, so we're going to go to old business. Sorry, I'm like double duty here, dad duty. Okay, so old business. And let me just pull up the agenda. So under old business, the first item is remote access to public meetings advocacy. And who wants to lead that item?
So this is Carl. Is this remote access pertaining to the open meeting law?
Yes.
Okay, so I did check with someone from Rep. Cabral, CABRAL's office. If they will be refiling the bill, they most likely will be refiling the bill, allowing committees and towns and municipalities to have remote access if once the emergency rules expire in March. Of course, the disability commissions are already exempt from that, but this would apply to other commissions. But the bill won't be filed until December at the earliest, and it won't be given a docket number until January-ish. So there's really nothing for us to do right now because the bill has not even been filed and given a committee assignment.
This is Wes. Carl, thank you so much for the update on that. That's actually given me a little bit more time to update the draft letter as well. That gives us time to put together a letter supporting this plan for that bill. Okay. So I guess I'm going to move then on to the next item under old business, which is it's the captions ordinance.
This is Andrea. Thanks, Wes. The update here is that it is still not filed yet, but we had a meeting with the mayor's policy team to discuss the proposal. So we are set to do a little more outreach to the business community through the Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion. But we are moving along. We still have several council meetings and months left in the year before the session ends. So had a good supportive meeting with the mayor's team, and we'll continue to give you updates as we have them.
Okay, great. Fingers crossed on this one, because, you know, we've been wanting this for quite some time, and I'm really, you know, happy that it's moving forward. Fingers crossed. All right. Now, the next item under old business is the questionnaire for the candidates for governor. And we know now who are, you know, we're thinking about our next election. We know that Maura Healey, or it's going to be Jeff Deal. So these are our potential candidates, and so we've got a set of questions for these candidates. And I know that the last time they were looking for the mayor, we had a draft of different questions. We could look at some of those if we want to take those, or if we want to keep them or change them. I don't know if, Andrea, I think that you actually have access to the previous list of questions that we use with the mayor's election process, yeah?
Yeah, thanks, Wes. So I had done some research to see what other commissions in other locations had done. this is one of those tricky situations where I am a full-time employee of the city and can do no electioneering. If I recall correctly, we worked, and by we I mean the advisory board, worked with BCIL to co-publish a survey. So I can find that link and send it back around to you all. But you all would have to coordinate that with BCIL, not through me.
All right.
So it's on here because it was old business you all had wanted to do. So.
If you could set up a Google Doc with those archives, I'm happy to just take a look at those previous documents, the archives on that, so the current board can have access to those archived documents, and then we'll have to figure out who will be able to draft the questions for this purpose. So there's someone from the board who would like to volunteer. I'm hoping Olivia can help us with that. Olivia?
This is Carl. Before we go that route,
Thank you. Okay.
a BCIL is already hosting a forum with candidate Jeff Deal next week, and one with Maura Healy at a later date. And those are going to be aired over Zoom, and you can register for those. So I don't know why we want to invent the wheel twice. If the disability community is already going to be meeting with those, maybe we can simply make those links available to everybody.
I think we do need to have a follow-up conversation with BCIL on this, on the next steps, to see if it's important for them that we do have some kind of a written document or something that provides some voice and perspective to the situation. I don't know. Olivia, I see your hand.
Yeah. This is Olivia. I can call BCIL tomorrow.
Yep.
And have a conversation with the community organizer or Bill.
Great.
Okay. Wes says, yeah, and confirm verbally and sort of the written perspectives. They need to have a verbal and written perspectives of the disability community. And so if so, then would you be able to take the lead on the written part, Olivia?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so Jerry, do I see a hand from Jerry?
Yes, you did, Wes. As Carl mentioned, though, I think, regardless of whether we do end up piggybacking with BCIL or doing written questions separately, I think, we definitely could post those links out to the candidate forums that Carl mentioned. I believe the link just went out today for the forum with Jeff Deal next week. And so I think it would be important. I think it would be important for the commission to include that in their, the e-newsletter that goes out.
But again, I want to emphasize that it doesn't necessarily include both verbal feedback, verbal commentary, as well as written.
Right, yeah, I'm not saying that we should do one over the other, but I think, since these forums are open to the disability community that have already been scheduled, I think it would behoove us, as advisory board members to let our constituents know about the existing forums as well, in addition to whatever we do separately.
Okay, all right, thank you for that commentary. And any other final commentary? I thought I saw someone had a hand. Let me take a quick look. No, all right, nothing. So then moving on to the next item on the agenda is new business. I know that Paul has something related to new business. Paul and Elizabeth, I think, who wants to go first, Elizabeth or Paul? Actually, Elizabeth, you go first, and Paul, you go second.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep, interpreters can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so actually, thanks for choosing this order because this actually belonged under announcements. That I just wanted to let folks know that on September 29th, the RTAG Riders Transportation Access Group will be hosting a general meeting to discuss the Orange Line's shutdown and what worked and what didn't during that period. So if I can send Andrea the link information, but if you could just let your networks know, it will take place on September 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 or 5:30 to 7 p.m. Via Zoom. So I'll just send that out to her or to you folks, but just to let people know if they did want a forum to discuss that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So Paul, if you want to go ahead and add your part to the new business?
Can you remind me what that item was? Because I don't have the agenda up in front of me.
No, sir.
I'm sorry, that was for Paul, not Carl. So
Thank
Paul,
God, because I had
add
no
your
idea what it
comment to
was.
business.
This is Andrea. Paul, I think you're muted if you're speaking.
Paul, calling Paul. And if not, if Jerry, you could go ahead.
Sure, just to piggyback on what, on Elizabeth's announcement in regards to the forum, the RTAG forum. It really is meant to be a listening session. You know, the team wants to hear, and RTAG want to hear your feedback and the disability community's feedback on, you know, as Elizabeth said, what went well, what didn't go so well, in regards to to all the diversions, not just the Orange Line, but you know, the parts of the Green Line that have been diverted over the past, you know, months or so, because we know that, you know, even though they're not going to have this wide scale a shutdown and shutting down an entire line, there are other diversions planned. So we definitely want to let the team know, you know, what went well, what doesn't, what hasn't gone well, so that they improve, you know, they can improve their access and their alternative service options for people with disabilities. Just, you know, a personal aside, it didn't go well for me at all. So I'm sure that, you know, similar folks have had other horror stories. So. So please either yourselves or let your networks know and have people participate.
Anyone need to follow up with Jerry at all? Have we got anything more from him? I think we do need to give some thought to sending an email to Jerry, because we've got like 2 minutes left. Time is running out rapidly. So I know Paul had something he wanted to share regarding new business. So Paul, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, on the mental health initiative, there's I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, we can, Paul.
Okay, on the mental health initiative, over at the Museum of Science, there's a mental health Mind Matters exhibit open through January 22nd, 2023, and it is during the regular museum hours. So I don't know if anyone wants to participate in that or just go on your own and see it. It's going to be now until January 22nd.
Yes, Wes says, I'll be there. I am definitely going to participate.
Okay, and other than that, I'm just curious on the governance debates and coming up, which one will be better for not only mental health, but for disabilities as far as benefits and offering folks with disabilities more at the state level. That's something maybe one of the questions we could ask or put into the forum.
Yes.
And for a guest speaker, like I said, we talked about it at our executive committee meeting. I would like to try to get someone, I guess they're called mediators, I'm not sure, from Boston Police, who handles cases with mental health, to maybe speak at one of our upcoming meetings. Where it's not just like an arrest is made for people having difficulties with mental health, which happens so many times. And I know now they're implementing folks.
And disabled folks.
And disabled folks, which is, part of physical mental disabilities. Someone, I'm sure now that like some sort of mediation, not just arresting. So we were going to look into that. We talked about it at our executive committee meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. And then I'm looking forward to hearing more about that initiative on mental health. I think it's a really important topic that impacts many of us. All right. Now, is there any public input? I know we're supposed to have public input, but we've really run out of time. But is there anything, if you have anything, please email your public input to disability@boston.gov. And one of us will follow up with that email. And so I just want to go ahead and then ask Carl to do his famous duty, his famous motion. Carl?
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Who's seconding? Jerry.
I'll second. This is Jerry.
Great, Jerry, thank you. All in favor, raise your hands. See you.
Aye.
All right, the meeting is adjourned at 7:32 p.m. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.